Good evening, everyone. Greetings from Team Nyaya Shastra. We have organized a webinar today on shaping the legal career, and our guest speaker is Ambari S.S. Patwardhan, Assistant Professor of Law, KES Jayantilal H. Patel Law College, Mumbai. We welcome you, ma'am, for today's webinar, and now I request Miss Ambari to commence this webinar.
A very good evening, everyone, and thank you for the warm introduction. So, just give me a second. I'll share my screen and then we will start with the discussion of corporate laws.
No, it's visible, ma'am.
It's visible? Yes, thank you so much. All right, so as the name suggests, we are going to discuss about your corporate laws or different aspects of career when we are talking about corporate laws. Okay, as you can see, the PPT is very simple. It is just in black and white. The motto is, of course, with the help of AI or with your technical support, you can prepare uh, eye-catchy and interesting PPTs, right? But today, my motto is that your concentration should be on what I'm saying instead of what is there on your screen. Okay, so purposely, I have kept it just black and white, as you are all law professionals or law students, right? So the purpose was to just keep it as simple so that you will be more interesting in hearing what I'm saying to you. Okay, all right. So why this topic? Firstly, so nowadays your corporate laws are something which is of course an emerging field, correct? And the field is attached to various concepts, various laws, okay, national or international level. And that is why, as an assistant professor, when I guide my students as well, I can see that most of them are interested in business laws, right? And as the name suggests, it is not corporate law or business law. It is always corporate laws. Why? Because it is a bunch of different laws together that you have to master when you are thinking of practicing or choosing business law as a career, right? So just to give you a brief of today's discussion, what I'm going to do is we are going to discuss about the very basics of your corporate laws, okay, then the core topics in corporate laws, and then what kind of a skills you have to develop, okay, to get into the corporate laws. So that will be a brief discussion or motive. If you have any doubts or if you want to say something, that is totally fine. We can go for Q&A section. But even if you want to say something, of course, you can just put it in a chat box. That is also fine. Okay. All right. So let us start today's discussion. All right. So when I say corporate laws, is basically a backbone of business work. Okay. So when you hear business or corporate, we have to go through different functions at a time, right? Whether it can be MNC, whether it can be an Indian company, whether it can be a foreign company, any kind of an entity, right? Multiple functions are going on in an institution at the same time, and to run that institutions in a proper, desired and directed manner, corporate laws plays a very vital role to shape up the business of those institutions. Okay, because you have to have a knowledge of your companies and the partnership, LLP, contract, negotiable, lot of things, right? So that is why you can see that corporate laws are basically a backbone of the business world. Okay, as it governs the formation, it governs the management and operation of companies or any business entities. Okay, so basically we have to understand that when we are talking about business, when we are talking about corporate, okay, it is not only the companies, correct? It can be institutions, it can be LLPs, it can be partnership, anything. So here your business laws actually work for the formation, They give you a guidance for the management, they give you guidance for the operation of your entities, as well as it ensures the balances between the compliance, governance, and other business objectives. Okay, and your so that is why it is a important factor to run your institution in a desired manner to achieve your desired goal. Now, when we are talking about your scope for corporate law, it is or your career as in a corporate law, it is basically you should have a talent, I would say, to understand the concepts, to understand and inbuilt certain abilities of negotiations, drafting. Okay, then this world can be a very easy for you to step into. Correct. So a very brief of your corporate law is basically you should be able to have an ability to negotiate, to deal, to draft. Okay, these three abilities are going to help you out when you choose your career in a corporate law. Okay, so why corporate laws are necessary? Because these corporate laws basically serve as the legal framework for businesses. Okay, so to operate a business in a systematic way as well as seamlessly. Okay, proper governance and implementation of your laws, corporate laws, is necessary. Why? Because it ensures that companies comply with the regulatory norms, correct? It safeguards the interest of the shareholders, creditors, and the other stakeholders. Okay, and lastly, facilitates the resolution of the disputes and ensures the economic stability. And that is why corporate laws are important, right? So why to choose corporate law? Okay, corporate laws are a field is a field where the demand is growing day by day. Okay, why? Because you can see the way our country is growing. Okay, financially, the GDP ratio. Okay, the opportunities you are getting. Corporate laws are something where you can get a maximum or you can have a high demand. Okay, not only because of the GDP, but the way we are entering into international treaties, the way we are getting investments from foreign countries. Like now, even the Apple is going to produce, they will be having their factory, or might be they are already having their first factory in Bangalore, if I'm not wrong. Correct. So here, these are the important opportunities for you to grab, because you are going to be what you can say, you're going to be the generation which is going to the generation of the lawyers which is going to actually face that particular transaction of the business world, right? So when we are talking about the opportunities in a career as a corporate law, you are having ample of opportunities. Okay, it is not only that you have to join a particular company because it is corporate laws, but rather you have different opportunities. Like you can work in a MNC, right? You of course have an opportunity to go for law firms now. As you are you may be aware of, certain law firms are specifically concentrating on certain specific areas. So you might find a law firm which is totally dealing only with the corporate laws. Okay, that means is facilitating the clients in NLC, in DRT. Okay, so you can select a particular law firm which is having corporate a base, or which is dealing with the corporate matters, right? Then you can have a consultancy as well. That means, of course, you can start your own practices, but along with that, of course, you can be a legal consultant for small sector companies, okay, or small sector entities. Because nowadays you can see, because of the startups, because of the make in India movement, okay, you can see at different level, even sole proprietorships or one person company, these are the points which are, or these are the facilities now which we are opting for, or business persons are opting for, because of these startup India and make in India movements or schemes, right? So here at the for small enterprises, for smaller partnerships, okay, you can be a consultant as well, correct? Another and most important point is you have opportunity to have a financial prospects, okay, lucrative financial prospects. And of course you can go for a professional growth, okay. How? Because if you are in a MNC, okay, and as I said, you have a very basic skills of the necessary skills when we are talking about corporate laws. You can get higher and higher opportunities to excel in, right? So, in short, what you can say is why corporate laws? Because um, you can be a corporate legal advisor who is guiding companies on compliances and governance, correct? You can be in-house counsel for them, correct? Because of course every company requires their in-house counsels to deal with different kind of um contracts or different kind of their legal processes, correct? You can of course be a law firm associate, or you can work in law firms, correct? You can be a compliance officer as well, okay. So here being a compliance officer, you are basically ensuring adherence to the legal and ethical standards, right? So along with this basic career options as a corporate lawyer, you can also explore opportunities in banking, insurance, and investment sectors as well, right? So these are the prospective areas where you can practice if you have a interest in corporate laws, correct? Now the next question or the next point of discussion can be, what are the core topics, okay? So when I'm talking about business laws, here are 5 points that we must be aware of. Okay, so I'm assuming all of you are law students, right? So some of you might have studied some of these acts, some of you are supposed to study these acts, correct? So when I'm talking about Contract Act, okay, it is one of the very important factor or very important element of corporate laws, okay. So when I say Contract Act, you can if you have studied it, you can just go through uh, from the points that you have studied, okay. Contract is something which is a very base of business world, okay. Without entering into the contracts, you won't be able to explore your business opportunities. You won't be having a commitments or the dealings, right? So contract or agreement is something which is a foundation of your business world, correct? And that is why when I say you should have a understanding, you should have a capacity to negotiate, to draft. Contract drafting is something which is a very emerging field. Rather, I would say that to draft a contract, you don't even have to have your sanat, right? Because contract drafting is something which you can start even when you are a student. You just have to understand the basics, the way contract should be drafted, and eventually, okay, in a time period of a 6 months or a year, you will be mastering the art of contract drafting, okay. Yes, I'm using a correct word. Contract drafting is a art, okay, because even nowadays you will see that there are lawyers or senior lawyers who might not be having um hold on contract drafting, because when you have a loopholes, okay, in a contract, that is going to affect your businesses in future, right? So contract drafting is the art, and if we can just understand that art, if we can just grab a opportunity to learn that art, Okay, that is going to help you in a corporate laws. And even if in the future you decide not to go for corporate laws, still for your struggling phase as a lawyer, that can give you your bread and butter, right? So uh, in a general sense as well, contract act is something which is a very basic of your business world. Why? Because as we are aware of that, contract is something where there is a offer and acceptance, right? So when we are talking about a contract, okay, it basically facilitates the business transactions. Okay, contracts are crucial for your seamless functioning in your businesses. So it can be a trade, it can be a commerce, it can be any kind of industry. Okay. It is just that when you enter a contract, you have a security, you have a obligation, okay, and you have a consideration. So when I'm talking about contract, of course, you might have gone through, or it can be a revision for some of you, that it is an offer. Okay, then the offer, if the other party accepts, that becomes an agreement that both the parties have agreed on a particular subject topic, right? Then you come up with your terms and conditions, and as per the contract act, it is necessary or compulsory that you should have a consideration. Okay, so consideration is some is a meaning. The meaning of the consideration is something in return. That means each party should get some benefit in return. Okay, I'm saying some benefit, not equal benefit. Okay, be very clear about it. So yes, so both the parties should get some benefit out of that contract, correct? And when we are talking about contract as a base for your corporate laws, your business world will not be running in a seamless manner, okay, without the concept of contract, right? So for that reason, of course, contract facilitates the business transactions. Okay, secondly, it gives a legal protection. Okay, suppose if I'm orally promising something to the other person, okay, and what if I am not actually meaning to perform my obligation, then in that particular case, of course, that is going to affect my growth, that is going to affect my businesses, right? So for that reason, when you actually enter into a contract, it creates a legal obligation on the other party to perform its obligation, as well as it creates a legal obligation on you as well to perform your obligation. And that is why contract is considered as a legal protection, because if any of the parties breaches any of the terms and conditions mentioned in the contract, then in that particular case, you do have a remedies. The aggrieved party have a remedies like compensation, injunction, or specific performance, right? So here that is a legal protection to both the parties. Okay, so before we move ahead, I'm assuming that you are aware about the difference between agreement and contract. When there is an offer and the offer is being accepted, we consider it as a agreement. Okay, and when that agreement is legally enforceable, then we call it as a contract. Okay, so all contracts are agreement. So when offer is there, the offer is being accepted, and that particular agreement can be legally enforceable, then we call it as a contract. So legally enforceable, that means there is a consideration, there is an offer, there is acceptance, your motto to enter into a contract is legal. Okay, the outcome of your contract will be legal, then in that particular case, we call it that it is legally enforceable, and then that becomes contract. Okay, so first point when we are talking about your contract is it defines the constitution of the particular contract, that what exactly you are expecting and what exactly the other party will be providing, right? So it provides you with legal enforceability, correct? Secondly, it facilitates the business transactions, right? So you can have a seamless functioning in any of your businesses. So it can be a trade, it can be a commerce, it can be any industry, correct? And third point is your legal protection, right? So both the parties get equal protection, that if any of the party breaches any of the terms of a contract, then the other party do have a remedies, they do have a legal protection, correct? We can take a quick example for your legal protection. That is, if a sailor, Okay, if a seller fails to deliver a particular good after receiving a payment, then buyer can claim damages under the act. Okay, so as per Sale of Goods Act, basically, if you have ordered something and you have not received the delivery of that particular goods, you have already made a payment. Okay, and if you receive if you are not receiving the delivery of the said good or the good you have ordered, then yes, you can claim damages as per the Sale of Goods Act. Of course, you can include some points of Consumer Act as well. That is why I'm saying that it is corporate laws. So you must have a mastery on different laws, because each and every aspect may be connected with different act. Okay. Lastly, when we are talking about the Contract Act specifically, it encourages the trust and transparency, right? Because when you have a written statements, when you have a written obligations, written right and duties, somewhere in back of the mind, you have a trust that if anything happens which is against this, I do have a security, correct? As well as it shows the transparency that the other party is aware about what you're going to do, and you're aware about what are the obligations of the other party, right? So automatically, when the contract is perfectly drafted, when the parties are clear about their terms and conditions, that promotes the economical stability. Okay, why? Because it encourages smooth trade and commerce, which is a very basic to which is very basic for the growth of a particular entity and ultimately for the growth of the nation, right? So the Contract Act is a backbone, you can say, when we are talking about the corporate laws. Then comes your Companies Act. Okay, of course, Companies Act is something which is going to give you a formation. Okay, formation of an entity. Okay, now your Companies Act 2013 basically provides you with formation of the entity, operation of the entity, and regulations of the entity. Correct. Now, these are necessary for promoting your transparency and protecting the interest of the stakeholders, the shareholders, right? So, to understand the basics of the Companies Act, basically we have to understand that company is a separate entity from the people who form it. Okay, so if five people are there who are interested to start their own company, okay, so these five people will be taking all the necessary steps or the legal procedure to um, form a legal entity XYZ. Okay, and once you get a certificate from Registrar of Companies, that is ROC, your entity is in existence. And the moment your entity is in existence, your identity and company's identity are different personalities. So, in eyes of law, you five people are different, and the company XYZ Limited is a different person. Okay, the only difference is you are natural person and company is a artificial person, artificial entity, right? And that is why you can see that some companies are established 100 years ago as well. Okay, so of course the persons who have promoted that company are not in existence, right? But still companies are going on. Why? Because they are having their individual personality, their individual existence. So it doesn't matter that who has started the company. uh, when you have a shareholders, when you have a business, it will continue and it will go irrespective of who have formed that company. Now basic example is All India Insurance is a Tata's company regarding the insurance. Okay, and recently, somewhere in August or September, if I'm not wrong, they have completed 100 years as a insurance company in India. Right. So of course, the person who might have taken that initiative to start an insurance company is of course not in existence now, but because the company is having a perpetual succession, the business and the company goes on unless and until it is getting wind up. Correct. So when we are talking about the importance of a Companies Act, firstly we have to understand that it is a important rules or a set of rules which gives you importance of formation and a regulation of the company, right? So it defines the structure, it defines the powers and responsibility of that particular company. So as we are aware, there are basic three types of companies, that is public company, private company, and one person company. Public company is something which is the company who is allowed to um, ask or who is allowed to allot the shares to the public at large. Okay, like some of the companies of Reliance, some of the companies of Tatas. Okay, where you are able to have access to purchase the share of the company. When the shares can be offered to the general public, it is a public company. When the particular amount the shares are not allowed to be offered to the general people, it is a private company. And one person company is a new type of company which was introduced in 2013's act. Earlier in 1956 act, we were not having the concept of one person company, but this concept is there in US's Companies Act, so we might have taken it from there. And because of as I said, Make in India and Startup India, one person company is something which is again being popular as a institution or as a entity when we are starting with the businesses, just like sole proprietorship. But sole proprietorship is different than one person company. Okay. Next, the importance of your company's act is corporate governance. Okay, because it sets the standards for ethical businesses, the conduct of businesses, and the accountability. Right, because this act have introduced some provisions regarding the independent director. Okay, the audit committees, and most importantly, CSR, that is your corporate social responsibility. Okay. Um, for example, companies who are meeting with the specific threshold. Now, the threshold is mentioned in the Companies Act itself. So, the companies who are meeting with the specific threshold, okay, they have to allocate 2% of their profit to the CSR activities. And you must have seen that in a COVID time zone, okay, Reliance and Tata's have used their CSR fund for helping state governments, specifically in Maharashtra and other regions, okay, to cope up with the situation, providing with the ambulances, okay, providing with the other necessary things, okay. So here, that is CSR, that is corporate social responsibility. So here, of course, that is again important factor when we are talking about the legal compliances, right? And another important point or a role of the Companies Act is basically transparency and accountability. Okay, why? Because companies are supposed to file their financial statement with the ROC regularly, correct? Then the protection of the shareholders. Now, for all these things, okay, it is important that a company is having a good legal consultant with them. Okay, because being a company, you have to comply with various acts at the same time. For example, you have, of course, you have to comply with the provisions of the Companies Act. You have to check the timelines for the particular processes, correct? Then you, if it is a public company, then you have to comply with the rules and regulations or time to time the guidelines SEBI is giving, right? So there are various acts which are involved. If your company is a banking company, then of course you have to have a knowledge of a banking system. You must be aware about the Banking Regulations Act, Negotiable Act, right? So here, company is something which basically gives you a identity to your entity, and which gives you a process to be followed when you are conducting a business. Similarly, when we are talking about partnership and limited liability, recently limited liability is something which is one of the what you can say a favorite kind of institution for business persons when they are starting with any of the new businesses. Okay, so in short, we will go through these acts. So Partnership Act is something which is basically gives you a, or it facilitates you to start your businesses. Okay, Because for company you can see that there is a long process to establish your company. You have to have MOA, AOA, you have to form the clauses of memorandum and articles, right? How you are going to deal with the shares, whether it is a private company, whether it is a public company. So it is a time consuming process. You need a lot of patience as well as a lot of finances, right? Whereas when you are talking about a partnership act, the moment you enter into a contract, okay, which is called as partnership deed, so terms and conditions, businesses, everything will be discussed by the partners, right? So minimum two partners are required. So you, the partners themselves will discuss about the terms and conditions, how they are going to run their business. And the moment all these partners sign that particular contract, it becomes a partner, it becomes a valid partnership deed. And the moment you sign, you can start your business. The only difference is company is having a perpetual succession. That means even after the death of the promoter, company can continue with the business. Only when it is getting winding up, okay, the institute or the company or the artificial person will be dissolved. Otherwise it doesn't affect if somebody is coming or somebody is going. Company will continue its existence. Whereas when you're talking about partnership, it is not like that. Okay, if any person is of the opinion that he don't want to continue in a particular partnership, okay, then in that case you have to dissolve the partnership, and then the remaining partners have to enter into a new agreement, and then they can continue with the business. Or on the death of the partner, the same thing will be happening, right? So here we don't have a perpetual succession, so flexibility is there when we are talking about partnership. But there are other pros and cons as well. When we are talking about limited liability partnership, which is comparatively a recent act, okay, that is 2008. So if you have gone through the act, it is a mixture or a combination of your companies act and a partnership act. So it gives you more flexibility, right? So that is why today's business persons are turning for instead of establishing a company or going for the partnership, these people are concentrating or turning towards limited liability partnership. So, as the name suggests, here in this kind of act, the liability of the partners is limited. Okay, now let us see the difference of partnership and limited liability partnership. In partnership, the liability of the partner is 100%. Okay, how much money you might have invested, it doesn't matter. You are having a liability towards third party, which is 100%. That means unlimited liability. So in a situation where your partnership is not able to pay off the debt, okay, partners can sell their own property or can do anything, but all partners will be having equal liability to pay off the debt. Okay, whereas in limited liability partnership, uh, your partnership starts as per the partnership did. So agreement is required or a contract is required to start a partnership. When you enter into that particular agreement, you are supposed to submit it to the authority. So you start your entity by signing a contract, but you get a status of a legal entity like a company. Okay, and that is why we say that limited liability partnership is a combination of Companies Act and Partnership Act. So some flexibility is as per the Partnership Act, and some of the benefits which are there for in the companies, the particular facility is given in the LLP as well. And most importantly, as the name suggests, the liability of the partner is limited. Okay, the ratio that partners might have decided. Correct. So here I have a security that my liability is limited. If I'm supposed to pay this particular amount, whatever is the amount, if I'm supposed to pay the 25% because I have invested 25% of the total amount, then comparatively I will be having a less pressure. Okay, and another important point can be your corporate governance and compliances. So here, sometimes if you're dealing in a MNC, the kind of businesses your company is engaged in or your client is engaged in, you must have a basic knowledge of DRT, SEBI, FEMA, okay, because Negotiable Instrument Act, because these are the topics or the acts which are actually dealing with the finances and the transactions. Okay, so the acts we have discussed over here, the four acts, they are giving you the identity as a business, whereas these acts which we are discussing, that is negotiable instrument, which gives you idea about the transactions, money transactions through bill exchange or a promissory note or a checks. Okay, FEMA, if the company or your client is dealing with the finances where the foreign exchange is required. SEBI, if it is any particular client or any particular company is a public company and the SEBI is having directions. Okay, so all these are the supplementary laws for uh, the laws we have discussed. And that is why, as I said, it is a bunch of laws. So it not only includes the banks, it includes the insurance as well. Okay, because insurance is again something which is coming under the business laws. Okay, so I'll just give you a brief of acts which come under the spectrum of business laws, that is contract, companies, partnership, LLP, insurance, SEBI, FEMA, banking laws, RBI, Banking Regulatory Act, okay, IPR, and your provisions regarding DRT. And that is why it is a combination of different laws. Okay. Now let us see what are the skills which are required uh, if you are desiring or if you are inclined towards corporate laws. The first and most important point is analytical and critical thinking. Okay, why I'm saying analytical and critical thinking, because in business world, okay, whether you are corporate lawyer or whether you are a in-house consultant for a MNC or for a company. Okay, so here your analytical and critical thinking plays a very important role. Okay, why? Because as I said, in business worlds, the terms and conditions, okay, the contracts plays an important role in governance. Okay, so here your analytical thinking basically includes breaking down of a complex problems or information into a smaller and manageable parts. Okay, so you have to understand the relationships, you have to understand the patterns. Okay, you have to understand the causes, the terms and conditions. So basically what you have to do is you have to analytically examine the data. Okay, you have to understand the cause and effect of a relationship. Okay, you have to propose logical solutions. Okay, for a particular problem that you might be facing. Okay, so when I'm talking about critical thinking, it is something where you have to assume certain things, you have to evaluate certain things. Okay, you have to come up to the independent judgments. Okay, so analytical thinking and critical thinking is an important factor when you are drafting a contract, when you are listening to your client's issue. Okay, because when I'm talking about the corporate lawyers, okay, you will be having a different kind of a or versatile issues. Okay, some client may be approaching you for debt recovery, some may be approaching you for not following the processes, or they are the defaulters for the processes which are mentioned in the Companies Act, and now they have received a notice from the ROC, and how you can tackle with that. Some can be related to the foreign exchanges, some can be regarding the debt if you are dealing with the bank or if you are dealing with the other person. Okay, I mean the other party instead of a bank. So here the critical thinking and analytical thinking plays an important role, because you have to understand the relation, you have to understand and tackle with your critical thinking, that if you are taking a particular step, if you are deciding to take a particular step, then what can be the effects of that particular step. Okay, so here this plays an important role. Another point is your drafting and negotiation skills. So as I just discussed in the first few minutes of the lecture, okay, that yes, so drafting is something specifically the contract drafting, is a skill that you can acquire even as a law student, and you can polish your skills of drafting in your very few years of or internship itself. Okay, so when you're coming out as a graduate, you can include that particular art to earn your basics when in your struggling zone. Okay, so basically drafting and negotiation is something which goes hand in hand. Okay, for example, negotiation is something which is necessary when you are drafting a contract, when you are settling a particular matter on a discussion. Okay, so it includes the impromptu understanding of the other parties terms and conditions, suggesting them our suggestions. Okay, make them understand about your terms and your client's terms and conditions, how you can include maximum points from both the sides, how you are dealing or convincing the other party or the lawyer of the other party to include the points which are beneficial for your client. Okay, so that is something where of course you need analytical and critical thinking, because you have to understand the relation, you have to come to the conclusion, you have to independently think about desired results, right? And for that, of course, your thought processes, the knowledge you are having about the particular processes is important, and then only you will be able to negotiate in a correct manner or in the best manner for your client. Okay, so drafting and negotiating, I would suggest that wherever possible you can you should enroll for the courses, right? Next is the other, just a second. The laptop is behaving a bit weird, I'm aware of. Anyway, we will continue with the topic. Okay, slides will be there soon. I'm trying to resolve. Okay, so coming back to the point. So these skills are important when we are talking about starting uh, or entering into the area of the corporate laws. Correct, so these skills plays an important role. So now next is, what are the career paths that we have already discussed, but still we will go in a brief. Okay, so as we discussed that you can be in-house counsel. Correct, you can be a corporate lawyer in a law firm, you can be a compliance officer or a legal consultant as well. Correct, but along with that you can provide different kind of a services. Okay, when you acquire certain specialities like contract drafting, negotiation, okay, a weighting of your contracts, okay, at different platforms as a freelancers, you can start your work uh, along with your other work commitments. Okay, because I'm aware of that in the starting phase of your career sometimes it becomes difficult to explore new things, but because of the various online platforms, now you can start your freelancing along with your other work commitments, right? So these are the traditional career paths, but along with that, of course, you can reach out to the national and the international clients through different online platforms where you can explore your career in a more better way, right? Now there are certain challenges in corporate laws as well. Okay, adopting to evolving regulations is something which is important. Correct, corporate laws are ever changing. Okay, the moment we feel that the authorities feel that there is something in a market which requires attention, which requires a specific direction, then the new amendments will be there in your acts, and accordingly, being a corporate lawyer, you have to adopt to those changes, and then you have to comply with the situations, you have to direct your clients accordingly. Very simple. Okay, for example, when you see that if you are in a banking sector or your clients are related to the finances, okay, or providing the loans or whatsoever, So every time when there is a financial budget in the month of February, where we have a special um, section of a parliament for your budget, the financial budget, right? So accordingly, when there will be the discussion on the rates on the loan, of course, you have to take certain things. You have to understand the situations, okay, the matters you are having in your hand, okay, and how to apply them. Okay, for example, now we have new criminal laws, BNSS and others, right? So here for your criminal laws, it is a transaction period. Why? Because some cases will be as per the previous acts, okay, and from 1st July 2024, the new act is applicable, correct? So these new acts will be applicable only to the cases which have been filed from 1st July 2024. So for the rest of the cases, okay, the old acts will be applicable, and here for last 6 months, okay, for those particular cases new acts will be applicable. So here you have to adopt, okay, it is not only the corporate laws, but being a lawyer you have to adopt new things, new changes in rules and regulations, and accordingly you have to guide your client, because sometimes SEBI come up with certain guidelines, certain rules and regulations. If you have a client, or if you are an in-house consultant, or if you are even a freelancer consultant, you have to guide your clients accordingly, that what are these new rules, whether any of those rules are applicable to your entity, and how the same should be processed, correct? Next is handling complex mergers and acquisitions. Some of you might have already aware, of course, or studied, or may have done certain diplomas or courses regarding M&A. Okay, nowadays M&A is something which is a growing topic, mergers and acquisitions. Okay, because of the changing or developing financial status of the country. Okay, being the third largest economy, the difference in the GDP, the comparatively the young generation is ready to take challenges. Okay, instead of going for work, they are creating the work. So all these things, of course, affects your way or your path as a corporate law, right? So here merger and acquisition is something which is nowadays a very very trending topic. So you can you must have a knowledge of M&A, right? And then it comes the balancing your legal and business objectives, right? Sometimes your businesses might not be having that much funding or that much financial stability to comply with certain legal processes, and in that particular case, as a corporate lawyer, how you guide them, how you come with the solutions, and how you comply with those legal requirements is something that depends upon your skills. Okay, because if you see even if you google, okay, the rate or the ratio for failure of certain startups in India is basically that the institutions or the startup entrepreneurs are not aware about the legal complexities and legal processes to be performed when they're setting their businesses under startups. That is one of the very uh, first what you can say reason for the failure of the startups, right? So for that reason, the way you communicate, the way you understand, the way you are communicating the processes with the client is something which is necessary and which is challenging in corporate laws, correct? So when we are talking about corporate laws, satyam scam is something which is very very important. Okay, to understand the complexity of the corporate laws, as well as the Vodafone tax case is also important. Okay, because we have a time constraint, so that is why I have just given you the name of the scams or the cases where you can just go through it to understand the complexities of your corporate laws. Okay, and the best way is to apply the lessons that you have learned um, from your various lectures, from the cases you might have studied for your writing your papers, correct? And if you are inclined towards the corporate law, then I would suggest that find out the law firms or the areas where you are getting more and more exposure to corporate laws. Okay, so that can be a very strong base for your career as a corporate lawyer. And trust me, this is going to be um, very emerging field. Okay, it's still an emerging field, but it is going to be more challenging in a future. So you can be future ready through pursuing different internships. You can I will suggest that if you can go for different diploma courses or certificate courses, right? Because this will enhance your knowledge, this will keep you updated. Okay, and another important point is it will give you strong network. Okay, in a corporate legal field. So building a strong network is also important, because in corporate laws you will find that some people are very good in certain acts. Like suppose if person XYZ is there, he is very good regarding the establishment of the company's partnership and LLP. So he is basically expert in structuring the institution. Some person may be having a mastery to deal with the SEBI and FEMA related cases. Why? Because he is having an in-depth knowledge and he is having that particular skill to deal with the SEBI and the FEMA rules and regulations. Some of the lawyers, you will find that they are very great when they are talking about insurance related matters or a bank related matters, right? So because it is a combination of different laws, I would suggest that if you are inclined towards corporate law, try different internships. That means the seniors who are having different specialities. So at the end, when you are completing your degree, you will be having a versatile experience of uh, different laws, or how to deal with different laws or under different laws in certain situation, in certain cases, and then you can decide your own path. Okay, but still I would suggest you should not restrict yourself. Okay, you should try different internships, or you should try understanding different laws, and then you should come to the conclusion. Okay, so it should not be the case that the first internship you might have gone for, and if it is regarding the companies act, or the regarding a speciality in a DRT or something, so you're interested only in that particular area. Okay, you should go through different challenging situations, then only you will be able to shape up as a corporate lawyer, as it is a continuously demanding and growing field. New rules and regulations, new concepts will be ever emerging, and you should be able to understand. Like IBC is something which is very new to us. That is also a important part in a corporate laws, right? Why? Because the concept of IBC was not existing earlier. Companies Act was having certain provisions for the winding up, for the bankruptcy, but now we are having a total different code of bankruptcy, right? So that is something because of the emerging importance of the corporate laws, right? And lastly, you should continuously upskill yourself. Okay, so you can go for advanced courses or certifications. So it will basically give you advanced knowledge, and what you can say is it will keep you updated about about the upcoming um, changes, or how to deal with the changes, right? Yes, so I have received some message in a chat box that law tends to change according to the society needs. Perfect, correct. Because when specifically when we are talking about business laws, the way your investments from the foreign companies, the way emerging or establishing of the new entities in your country, that definitely affects the implementation of the laws. And because, as I said, it is a growing economy we are having, so obviously the future is very good for the corporate laws. Yes, somebody have raised a hand. You can just ask for any queries you are having, because I'm about to conclude. So it is totally fine. If you have any queries, let me know. Okay, or if you have any questions, let me know. You can put it in our chat box. It is totally fine. So till that time I'm getting if any queries, I'll just give you a brief about what we have discussed. Okay, so we have discussed about the importance of the corporate law. As I said, that corporate law is the backbone of your business world, right? So corporate laws is ever emerging subject. So if you are really inclined towards the corporate laws, all the best and welcome to the field, I would say, right? Because it is full of challenges, it is full of struggle, it is full of knowledge and day to day changing patterns or changing rules and regulations, where being a professional you will be having what you can say, you have to do brainstorming every time when you are having a new case, right? So go for it, update your skills, okay, through attending webinars or courses, doing diplomas. Concentrate on negotiation and drafting regarding courses. That is definitely going to help you in your struggling ways to earn your bread and butter, right? So eventually corporate laws is something, we have a concept, you are aware of that. uh, अगर घर में अचार है तो आपकी मम्मी अचार बनाने के बाद तुरंत आपको वो परोसती नहीं है, खाने नहीं देती है, राइट? बिकॉज योर दादी और योर मॉम विल से दैट let it sit for certain days, at least 8 days, 10 days, and then only when it is a proper time to eat it. Why? Because then only it will be juicy, then only it will be perfect to eat, राइट? सो कॉर्पोरेट लॉज इज समथिंग, जितने आप पुराने होते जाओगे उतना आपका वैल्यू बढ़ता जाएगा, बिकॉज यू विल बी हैविंग द नॉलेज ऑफ द लेटेस्ट एज वेल एंड द अर्लियर एज वेल, राइट? सो yes, it is an interesting field, yes. Okay, so I have got a question. If I had chosen BBA LLB for now, okay, UK or America, what should I do, M&A or LLM? Then I would suggest, okay, MBA or LLM. See, the basic is, if it is BBA, LLB, I would say that then in that case you do have option to go for MBA and LLM, correct? If you are inclined towards the legal aspects, okay, then in that particular case I will suggest you to go for LLM, okay, because that is going to prepare you thoroughly from the point of view of law, okay, from the legal prospect. If you are inclined towards the management, okay, then you should go for MBA. So basically you have to bifurcate that, where your inclination, understanding is more towards the management or it is more towards the legal aspect. If it is more towards the legal aspect, go for LLM, it is emerging field. If it is regarding the management, then you should go for management, or rather I would suggest, I don't know whether I mean it's a good suggestion or something, but if possible, why don't you go for both of them, right? It is something that of course that is going to give a very uh, advantageous for your career, okay? So firstly you have to select that if it is towards more towards the management, go for MBA, and when you get a time after completing MBA, do go for LLM, okay, and vice versa. So both of them are the great options. In a foreign country, if you, yes, but for that reason it depends on which country you're selecting, okay? So if it is UK, you do have a equivalent what you can say, opportunities in UK, because your degree of LLB and LLM is recognized in UK, because our legal system is based on English laws, right? So you have equal opportunities in UK. If I'm talking about USA, in that particular case, you might have to adopt certain new things, though you're doing your LLM from India. Okay. And if you are planning to settle in UK or USA, then I would suggest that if you get an opportunity to study, okay, then that will be wonderful, because though in UK your degree is having an equivalent weightage, okay, and if you have already planned to settle in UK, then in that particular case, the best option is to complete your masters from UK. Okay, I'll just share a story that uh, one of my friend have completed LLM from the UK, and then he thought of coming back to the India and to practice. Okay, but in that particular case, my dear friend, you have to understand that you won't be getting the desired amount here just because you have done your LLM from the UK. So think accordingly, and if you are planning to settle, then it is a best option that when you are settling over there, go for the LLM, right? Yes, Amit Kumar, I'll definitely share the PPT with the organizers. Particular courses or topics which help us to gain more knowledge about corporate law. Sure. So you can go for contract drafting courses. You can go for M&A courses. Okay, they are emerging, and you will be getting good knowledge about the same. You can go through the Swayam courses, your central government portal of Swayam and Swayam Prabha. Swayam Prabha is for primary education, if I'm not wrong, but Swayam. You will find different courses over there as well, and there are private, what you can say, professionals who are coming up with such kind of courses. So, but definitely I would suggest go for contract drafting, go for M&A. Okay, along with that, you can go for a diploma courses or the certificates of IPR as well, because in corporate laws, IPR also an important part, right? So you can definitely go for the same. Okay, in which other country other than UK Indian law is valid? If I'm not wrong, Dinky, Australia might be a suitable country for you. Then in that case, okay, because UK is totally same because our base is English law, na? So they are the one who have guided us with the laws. Rather, just 6 months back, uh, we have we have started with the new Indian criminal laws, which are actually made by Indians for the Indians. Otherwise, your IPC and something are already established by the Britishers, right? So that is why UK is the best option. Then in that case, even Australia might be helping. US is also there, but Australia. Okay, so will it be fruitful to pursue LLM if I want to do judicial in future? Sure. Then I would suggest that you should prepare for your judiciary first. Okay. If I'm not wrong, it requires 1 year or 2 years preparation um, to clear your judiciary exams. Okay. And definitely, LLM is something basically, see, what you have to understand is when you are doing your 3 years course, you are getting a general LLB degree. Okay, that means you will be aware of all the laws equally. Equal information of all the laws will be given. Correct. And when you are talking about LLM, is basically you are specifically choosing a particular topic where you prefer to have a mastery. So yes, definitely. Even I would say that in MNLU, when I visited, there are certain judges, the sitting judges are there who come for the lectures. They are doing their LLM. So why not? You can go for it. Definitely, you should go for it. Right? Okay. So yes, I want to go in corporate firm job. What should I do? So Shrija, in that particular case, I would suggest that find out the law firms or the private practicing lawyers who are dealing with corporate cases. Okay. So when I say corporate cases, it can be Companies Act related, it can be IBC related, anything. Right. So search about the that kind of practitioners who are dealing with such kind of subjects. So you will be getting more and more what you can say experience, and then when you are out with your degree, you can decide that whatever is the suitable option for you or the comfortable act for you, you can go for the C. Okay, so doing short term internships at different practitioners, that might help you out. Yes. necessary to be the citizen of UK to crack the judiciary there. Regarding the judiciary, yes, I guess. Okay, because though it is equivalent degree, any country would definitely prefer a person who have studied from their country, who is having a thorough knowledge of their laws, right? So will definitely prefer to be a citizen of that country. And you don't have to be sorry, it is totally fine. I'm there to help you out, so it's totally fine. Yes. Is LLM is required for corporate lawyer? No, it is not required, Shrija. LLM is something. See, if I'm having very basic, okay, uh, being one of the member for as a placement cell for my college, okay, it doesn't matter that if you are having LLM or not. But definitely, see yourself. I'm having two CVs in my hand, and one CV is a person who is having a LLB degree, who might have done various courses about corporate laws, who have done various webinars regarding corporate laws, having a good knowledge, even have had internship with the corporate lawyers. On the other hand, I'm having a CV, a similar CV. Okay, but only difference is this person holds a master's degree in corporate laws. Then obviously I'll go for the second option. Why? Because here for LLB you have got equal knowledge for all the acts, whereas in LLM you are specifically concentrated and mastered the corporate laws. Okay, so it is not required but recommended. Okay, yes, thank you. Corporate lawyer is the best or the legal advisor is best? See, uh, in that particular case, I would suggest that you first go for the internship and juniorship with the corporate lawyer. Then when you get a particular amount of experience, when you gain that confidence, you can decide yourself that if you want to be an advisor or a lawyer. If you have a very good mastery, you can be a legal advisor. So it's a call after completing certain struggling phases, that whether you want to be a corporate lawyer or not. Because basically you have to understand that when I say corporate lawyer, your clients are companies, okay, entities, okay. And in general other categories of law, your clients will be individual person. So here you can see the difference of the amount that you may be earning. Okay, do I have opportunity in MNC after BBA LLB? Yes, why not? BBA LLB, even after BBA LLB, you can have a opportunity in your MNCs, okay, because you are masters, you have studied the management as well as the laws, right? So it will be, might be your call to decide at which kind of job profile you would prefer. Correct. Which subject is good to choose for pursuing LLM in UK? Even for UK, I would suggest that you can go for corporate laws and IPR, because both of the field are emerging, as well as if they are having the concept or the option of going for the cyber laws, that can be a good option for LLM. Corporate laws is ever changing and emerging now, so it is always one of the best options you can have. Okay. A last sem law student and company secretary student as well. Of course, you have a benefit, sir. Basically, the point is you are already a company secretary, so you are having a thorough knowledge of company, right? So if it is possible or feasible for you, definitely go for LLM. That is going to add up in your profile that you are more inclined towards the corporate laws. Okay, because even I have done my CA, so I know how best it is to have a company secretary and a law. Then I can say that LLM will be the other feather in your hat. So definitely, why not? It will be more decorative. It will be having more weightage in your CV. Publications from my college. I have a topic for research publications from my college. Okay, can I research and without tribalism AI? What are the websites and sources? Um See, AI is something which is you can say a challenge even for the corporate lawyer, because AI is now able to draft contracts. Okay, of course, it is not going to take away your job, because, as I said, you have the critical thinking and analytical thinking you are having, the AI is not. And that is why, when you acquire that skill, of course, people will approach you instead of AI. Okay. Um, all right. So, when I'm talking about your research topic, I would say that you can just Google it. There are a few sites. If I'm not able to recollect their name. There are 2 to 4 sites who can give you a plagiarism report free of cost. Okay, so you can just Google it. I'm not just able to recollect the name. Otherwise, I would have suggested you. Correct. Uh, Okay, so various corporate sectors are demanding a minimum of 2 years experience. Yes, okay. And if I practice as a corporate lawyer, will it be considered or not? See, that depends upon the eligibility requirement by that particular sector. Okay, I would suggest that if you are a criminal lawyer, at least, of course, you have studied corporate laws, and you are having a knowledge of corporate law. But in that particular case, if you want to shift yourself from practicing in a criminal law to the corporate law, I would suggest that you should take some time to do different corporate sector related courses, okay, so that you can assure them that you are having equal knowledge of corporate laws, right? And then, if possible, you can go for such kind of a juniorship as well as a lawyer of a 6 months or a year to add a weightage in your CV, and then that particular case you can. Otherwise, sometimes it will be difficult that if you are a criminal lawyer and you are suddenly switching to the corporate laws without any certificate courses or diploma courses. Okay. Yes. So yes, I hope, Dinky, that now you are a bit clear about your LLM. Yes. AI with the law knowledge, I guess, definitely represents somehow, especially for legal firms. In legal firms, it might be, but still, it is not a threat because, as I said, you are the one who are having a ability to think critically than AI. Okay, because when you are dealing with negotiation is something depending upon the understanding and the terms and conditions, the situations, and how to implement that. So AI can give you a overall draft that this is to be done, but whether that is acceptable to parties or not, that you can only convince, that AI cannot. So it is not a threat, but it is possible that it may replace some of the functions of law firms in future. Yes, can you please explain my topic, AI related? Uh, how to write? See, basically, if you are writing about AI, what you can do is write down the importance of AI. Okay, write down uh, the the traditional ways, how AI is going to affect the traditional form, okay, of whatever topic you are having, and whether it is a threat or not. In that particular case, try to give a neutral opinion. Okay, AI is a skeleton without a flesh and blood. Yes, totally agreed. But it won't be taking over your job as a lawyer in a that effective manner, because a surgery can be done with robotics, but justice cannot be given with that. So don't worry, you are in a correct profession. Okay. One more question. If I'm going for MBA in UK for MNCs, then will LLB gone in when, or it have some benefit or use? Of course, it is. See, every knowledge is having a weightage. It is never a best. So even if you are going for MBA in UK, you can, of course, you when you are going for your um, CV, or when you are presenting yourself for any of the job opportunities, it will be having the equivalent weightage of MBA and LLB. Simple. So of course, the degree is having a a validity is a degree, it holds or bears some weightage. So don't worry, LLB will never go into the will. Rather, I always say to my students that every person should have a knowledge of laws, because then only you can be a good citizen, right? So of course it will be having a weightage in your seat. Okay, legal knowledge is always something which is expected when you are a professional, correct? All right, so I guess from my side, I have tried to give, I mean, to clear your doubts. Okay, I can see some of your comments for the session as well. Thank you so much that you liked it, and yes, thank you. And now I would thank Nyaya Shastra for giving me such an opportunity to have a word with such a talented audience and interactive audience. And I definitely appreciate your presence over here for the webinar. So thank you so much for the opportunities. It was a great time. It was a great discussion. Yes, thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, ma'am. On behalf of Team Nyaya Shastra, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Miss Ambari for taking the time to be with us today and sharing your invaluable insights on legal career. Thank you, ma'am, for your generosity in sharing your time and experience. Moving forward, now let me introduce Nyaya Shastra to you all. Nyaya Shastra aims to be a key hub for promoting legal excellence through a combination of research, teaching, raising awareness, and encouraging healthy competition. We are committed to advancing legal knowledge and creating a community that includes legal enthusiasts, scholars, professionals, and students. Our goal is to create a dynamic environment that fosters growth, innovation, and excellence in the legal field. Ultimately, we want Nyaya Shastra to be a leading platform that bridges the gap between academic and practical law, combining research, education, and awareness. With this, I would like to introduce Vidika, a quarterly law journal. I request my team to please show the poster. Apart from this, Nyaya Shastra is also organizing various competitions. And with this, I would like to announce Nyaya Shastra is organizing judgment writing competition. Nyaya Shastra is also launching a course on pleading and drafting. For more information, you can visit our website nyayashastra.co.in or follow Nyaya_Shastra on Instagram. You can also connect with us through LinkedIn. Thank you everyone. With this, I Shambhavi Shrotriya, the host for today's program, is signing off from today's webinar. Thank you everyone.